Welcome back to today's video. I'm going to be doing a video on how to break down a muntjac at home. Now this video is just going to be a basic butchery video. If you would like to see a more refined butchery one, please just drop a message in the comments. So what I've got here is a lovely local muntjac doe. Now with muntjac, they're the smallest species of deer we have in the UK. As you can see, it fits on my small block really nicely. You'll get any of these or the whole carcass in a standard fridge at home. The only thing with muntjac is they're notoriously tough to skin, which they are. So someone who is new to butchery or new to deer stalking or anything along them lines, you'll find when you get a muntjac, it is really hard. So all you have to do is just take your time, work the skin off, and once you've done it a few times, you'll find a knack of doing it. So what I'm going to do is show you how to break it down, and then we'll trim it all up. So I've got my boning knife, and all I'm going to do is remove the shoulders first. And I have got a video on my channel of a roe deer I've done about a year ago. So it's the same principle, but just a smaller scale. So some parts of the butchery can be a bit fiddly just purely because of the size of the deer, but all the cuts and all the joints are all the same. So with the shoulders, it's not actually connected by any joints, it's all seams. So all you do is get your knife and you're cutting the seams away that just sit level with the body, and it comes away really easy. And then that is one shoulder removed already. And I'll do it again on the second one. Now this is a nice clean carcass to work with. This was a headshot, but sometimes if you get a shoulder shot one, depending of the caliber and obviously the range, you can lose quite a lot of meat on the front of these. But obviously you will have the loins, some of the trim here, and also the haunches to use. But say this is a lovely clean carcass to work with. So the shoulders are removed, and I'm going to take the haunches off. If you feel base of the loin to the top of the haunch, you'll feel an indentation, and it's just there. So you put your knife in, and at an angle you come towards the rib cage, and then you go straight, just like that. And then again on the other side, you feel for the indentation, knife in at an angle, and then down. And then you get your bone saw and you cut straight through, and you saw until you can hear the change in tone from bone to meat. And then you stop, and then just finish it off with a knife. So I've now got my haunches, my shoulders, and my main body of the animal. When you do things like pigs and lambs, you'll break them down into primals. You can do it with these, because like I said, this is just a basic butchery. I will do a more refined butchery one. But I'll say today, this is just to get people, get them used to the cuts and get their head around the actual body of the animal. So when you've removed your haunches, you get your knife and you just mark down to the pelvic bone, and you saw through that. And then you lay the legs in front of you, and this is a nice little tip I picked up when I was butchering in the shops. Where you've removed the tail, obviously you can see the last part of the backbone. You just run your knife down the side and you'll hit the H-bone. So you come down just off that, and you do the same on the other side, and then you're going to split the legs. And then you can see the H-bone here. So all you do is just come round through that, and then to actually remove this tail piece, you grip it like that and you pull, and then just finish it off with your knife. You can actually, what I'll do in a bit, you can actually trim just these back parts of the bottom parts of the loin off your trim. Then I'll take this off from my trim pile. I'm going to remove the H bone now, which you can see the bottom part here and the main bit that sits in the haunch here. And this can be a bit fiddly, but all you have to do is take your time. But if you can keep getting the tip of your knife or your fingers just to feel where the bone is, and all you do is just trace it round, just like that, and just keep moving the meat if you have to, whichever way you find easy. Then you'll be able to see the joint here, the ball joint. So you get the tip of the knife in there to cut in the big tendon, and then come behind the actual joint, and that is one H bone removed. So I can take this off here, I can go in the bin, and then again you just mark it around, feeling as you go, and it's the same on a roe deer or a fallow deer. Obviously it's bigger, so it's easier to remove, and try to stay as close as you can to the bone. But sometimes I found with muntjac, because they're smaller, you can snap or break the bone, and sometimes you might get shards. So occasionally, depending on how it's going, I do sometimes leave a little bit of meat on the H bone and then just trim it off at the end. So that is our legs more or less done. So depending what you want to do with them, quite often people will just take off the knuckle here, take off the chump here for a little bit of dice or a nice little chump steak, and then keep the whole leg for roasting, because it's not very big. You can put it in your freezer and this will comfortably feed 3 or 4 people for a roast. So I'm going to prep one for a whole leg for roasting, and then I'm going to take off the knuckle here. I'm going to get some steaks off this and then some dice off that. So all I've done is marked the bone round here. I'm going to saw that knuckle off. Just cut through the tendon. Just get my rag, get rid of the bone dust. And I like to, just for a bit of presentation, just a bit of French trim. So just scraping all the meat off with your knife, and of course then that can go in your trim pile for sausages or burgers or mince. So that can go in the trim pile, and then you are left with the haunch that's ready for roasting. So we're going to take off the chump just straight across here, so you're knife level with the bone, and then just come straight through like that. Then that can go in dice or just as a little mini steak. And then the same with this leg. I'm actually going to remove the shank on this one. So you feel for the knee joint, which is about halfway here. Put the tip of your knife in, just work round it and you'll expose the joint. So again, you're always using the tip of your knife just to get in there, break the tendons, and then you can cut all the way through. You can keep that as a little shank, but with these, because I don't think they're very big, because once you've took the knuckle off you're left with that, It is ideal for one person, but I normally just trim these out and it goes in my pile for burgers. So again, now we're left with the chump again, so I'm going to take that off. And then the easiest way with these, on my roe deer video, I split down the middle, took out the bone, and I was left with 4 nice little haunch steaks and 2 joints for roasting. But with this, they're really small. So my options are, keep it as one piece for roasting, but what I'm going to do with this is tunnel bone it, so I can get some steaks and then I can dice up the rest of it. So again, with the tip of the knife, just work round the top of the bone and then just keep tracing that bone along the top. And come underneath it. And then I'll mark down the base of the bone here. You can always tidy it up. It's just cut a couple of prime haunch steaks off this. They are small but perfect for pan frying. Let's go for one more. And that will be for dice. Now we're left with the carcass of the animal. You can cut the neck off, you can take it off at this end and cut it off here and have a small neck, but again, it's like I said, they're really small. I don't bother much with muntjac. So I'll just take off the breast and all this will be going into trim. So I'll just keep topping up my trim pile. And then to remove the loins, hold it on the neck and you can see the spine, you'll be able to feel it. And again, with the tip of the knife, depending how far I want to go up, but I just go in next to the spine and I just cut all the way down. And this is just the way I do it. And all I'm doing is running the tip of the knife down the side of the ribs just to prise that meat away, sticking close so I don't leave any on the carcass, because this is the best and most tender cut of meat off the animal. And then you can almost just run your fingers through it to get it off that silver. So we left some of the silver on there, but we'll remove this in a minute. And then same on the other side. Because if you're working on mainly a fallow deer, you can do this with a roe deer, but what you can do is lay it on its side and work like that and then prise it off. But something like a muntjac, it's light enough and small enough just to stand on your bench. And also, if you haven't got a separate prep room, again, you can break these up pretty easily in your kitchen. So we're just marking along the last bit. You can go right up into the neck, but sometimes you'll find you get a lot of the sinew in there, so I tend to stop at the base of the neck, because even off a small muntjac, it's 2 really nice loins you get. So that's the loins removed, and then all I do is then I'll spend time just trimming off all of this meat, and I'll work between the ribs like that. So I'll come back and do that later on, and I'll work around the neck as well. So to remove this silver skin off any loin of deer, get my knife and I'll make an incision at the end, about a 45-degree angle. It's like filleting a fish. I run the knife all the way along, and then you're left with a perfect loin, no silver on it, and that little piece at the end goes in the trim. And then just to get that last excess off, I'll just run the knife back across. That's removed the last bit, and you are left with all the silver. It's just the way I've always done it. I'll do it with filleted beef or venison, because some people, they try and start on the top and work along. You can gouge into the meat, and also if that silver skin snaps when you're halfway through, it's really hard to start it again. So I'd rather lose that, well, not even lose, I'd rather leave that little bit of meat on the silver and then just cut it off and go in the trim, so it's not being wasted at all. That's how we do it. And if you get a little line, these you can just nip your knife underneath and just work along, just like that. So I'm just going to have a tidy up, and I'll show you what we've got out of this muntjac. So there it is, all finished now. So you've got your two loins, you've got some haunch steaks, got some dice, we've got a French trimmed haunch, two whole shoulders, and I forgot to mention the tenderloins that sit underneath the carcass. I would have shown you, but it's just been chopped up for stock and dog bones. But with the shoulders, these are perfect for slow braising. You can keep them whole like this, or you can remove the foreshank so you've got an even smaller bit. But I've hoped you've liked this video today on just a basic breakdown of a muntjac. And it's like I said earlier, if you would like a more refined butchery video on a muntjac or a roe deer, just let me know and I will happily do one for you. So give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.